Okay, so question 1 for the exercise 4G. Right? In question 1, the question is find the gradient of a line which is parallel to each line with the given equations. Now, before we continue with finding the equations and finding different gradients and all of that, I want your attention into what it means when a line is parallel to another one. All right, so for parallelism, we know that if one line has a slope of 1 and 1, then the second slope has to be equal to the first, right? What that means is if I were to draw a Cartesian plane here, and I were to do a line, any line is doing negative in this case. If I were to do this line has a slope. I don't know the slope. I know because of the drawing that the green line will have a negative slope, right? Because it is going down, it is decreasing. So this line, the line with the slope 1 and 1, would have a negative slope. I don't know exactly which one. I could calculate it doing rise and then doing run. I could calculate it, but I don't know exactly which one it is. But if I were to draw another line that is parallel to the first one, I would have to do it. I don't know where I could do it in, on top of it or under it. I don't know where, but it would have to be, in order for it to be parallel, they will have to have the same inclination. They would have to have the same inclination. So this slope will be slope 2. If the two lines have the same inclination, again, I don't know exactly what the inclination is. I could calculate it by doing rise and run here, but I don't know exactly what it is. I know because of the drawing that it is negative, but if these two lines are parallel, if I were to say this line and this line are parallel both, then what it means is that these two lines have the same inclination. If they didn't, if one line will be less inclined or more inclined than the other one, then the two lines will intersect at some point, eventually. But since the two lines have the same inclination, they are parallel, right? And in mathematics, when two lines have the same inclination, then they have the same slope. Meaning, whenever we talk about parallelism, we know one slope is the same to the other one. And with that little piece of information, now we can solve the questions. All right, the first one says, let me do it here. Question A. Question A, we have the equation, the function y equals negative x, y equals negative x plus 6. Plus 6. All right. And we need to find the gradient of a line which is parallel to each of these ones, right? We need to find the gradient of a line that is parallel to this one. All right. If I want to find a line parallel to this one, what I have to do is find the slope of this line over here. Now, this line, in order to find the slope, all we have to do is recognize that this line is written in the form point slope, mx, point slope, no, slope intercept, mx plus b. Slope intercept. This m will be the slope and this b will be the intercept. That means that the slope for this line, slope, would be the m, which is negative 1. We also know the y-intercept, and the y-intercept will be 6. Now, we don't need the y-intercept for this equation, for this function, for this example, we don't need it, but it is nice to know, right? Now, in this function, again, since it is mx plus b, and m is the slope, the coefficient of the x, the coefficient, the negative 1, has to be the slope. And like this, we know that function a, the function in question a, has a slope of negative 1. The question says, find the gradient of a line which is parallel to this one. Well, the question, I don't know, it feels like it is a trick question. Because we already have the slope of this line. In the chat, please, if the slope is -1, or open the mic if that is what you want. If the slope of this line is -1, what is the slope of a parallel to this one? Everybody, please.
-1.
Beautiful, thank you. And I have 2 more people answering in the chat. Yes. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. We know the slope of our first line. The slope of a parallel line to this one will have to be the same, right? So in question 1 for the exercise 4G, all you have to do is just find the slopes of the lines. That's it. Let's do point B real quick. Point B. Question B says the equation is x equals 7. All right, this is a trick one. This is a trick one. The slope of this line is undefined. Why? Because it is in the form x equals something, meaning that if I were to draw this line, if I were to draw it, my line is composed by all the points that have an x equal to 7, an x coordinate of 7. Again, the line that I will draw is composed of all the points that have a coordinate x of 7. That is what it says here, x equals 7. I need to draw all the points that have an x of 7. If I said that 7 is over here, that is the point 7. This is not to scale, of course. Then this is a point that has an x coordinate of 7. Also this, and also this. Also this over here, also this, also this line. All of these points that I'm doing have an x coordinate of 7. All of these points create together my line x equals 7. So for question B, I am talking about this line, a vertical line. And remember, vertical lines have undefined slope. Slope is undefined. The slope of vertical lines is undefined. We don't know the slope of this line. We have no idea. We don't know it. It is undefined. We don't know it. All right, so find the slope of a parallel line to this one. Well, a line that is parallel to this one would have to also be vertical, right? I can have a vertical line over here, or maybe over there, or maybe to this side, any side, but vertical as well, because they have to have the same slope. They are parallel. And since this one is undefined, we will have to write that for this one, the slope is also undefined. Defined. All right? Let's go for C. Question C. Example C. X minus 3y equals 5. X minus 3y equals 5. All right, for this exercise, again, all we have to do is find the slope of our line. Look at this. In question A, we found the slope. It was -1. In question B, we found the slope. It was undefined. In question C, we have to find the slope. But the slope here, for those of you who say, all right, remember, the teacher said was the coefficient of x, so it has to be 1. No. That would be a mistake. Because it is the coefficient of x as long as it is in this form of the equation. In the equation y equals mx plus b. With y isolated from the equation. This, when you have y isolated from the equation, you call this form the slope-intercept form. So we need to change this form into the slope-intercept form. In other words, all you have to do is isolate y. The moment you isolate y, you leave y on one side of the equation, you have the equation expressed in this form. And now we can see what is the slope. Isolating y from here gives me -3y. I'm going to pass the x to subtract, right? The x is positive, so I'm going to pass it to subtract. equals 5 minus x, right? Negative 3y stays on the left side of the equation, and the x passes to the right. The x is positive, I passed it to be negative. From here, the negative 3 is multiplying, so I'm going to pass it to divide. So y will be 5 over negative 3 minus x over negative 3, right? And now we can kind of see what will be the slope. The problem here is that the y-intercept is pretty simple to see. The y-intercept, the value of b, the y-intercept is 5 over negative 3. That thing is a decimal, a negative decimal. That is absolutely to see. But what would you do with the slope? How do you see what would be the slope? Negative 5 over 3. And now look at this. I'm going to rewrite the equation. These two negatives, I can make it so that the function is now an addition. Negative and negative will give me addition, right? And what I have here, something, nothing, it says nothing here. So there's a 1, right? The coefficient of x will be a 1. So 1 over negative 3. Over 3 because the two negatives became a positive. So what I have here is a 1 being divided by 3, and all of that multiplied by x. What I have is this, 1/3 of x. Did you see how I changed this? My slope became this part over there. Positive because of the two negatives, and 1/3 is the slope. So now I have the slope of 1/3. Did you see, guys? All right, like this. Let's see if I have question D. All right, for D, what we have in D is a pretty simple distributive property. Let's apply the distributive property, and from there we can see what would be the slope. I don't have enough space over there. Sorry, guys. In question D, we have y equals -2/5. All right, y equals -2/5. Factor of x minus 1. X minus 1. All right, again, the y is isolated, but I have a multiplication inside the other side of the parenthesis of the equation, right? And I need to have the mx plus b form. So no multiplications there. I need to do the distributive property here. I'm going to distribute this number, and if I solve this, the solution will be -2/5 x minus and minus will give it positive, and 2/5 multiplied by 1 will be 2/5. From here, I can now see what is the slope and the y-intercept. Again, we don't need the y-intercept so far, but what we do need is the slope. And the slope is this one over here. I'm going to write it now. The slope will be -2/5. And that is it. The exercise wanted us to find the slopes of each of the functions. All right, guys, open the mic or write in the chat if you think that I solved your question, please.
Sí, profe. Profe.
Oh, sí, profe. Juan Sebastián Grow. Sí, profe. All right. Majo, yes. Daniel Alexander, yes. All right. Congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Tell me.
Profe, es que tengo otra pregunta sobre el ejercicio 3 de la página 170.
All right, let me change into that. Exercise 3. So this one, a ski resort planner works on. All right. All right, let me read it. A ski resort planner works on designing ski slopes. All right. Find the equation of the following slopes in the form of straight lines. Okay, and hence draw them. Beautiful. A slope with gradient 4 and passing through -2,5. All right. This question looks to be absolutely easy. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I think I damaged my microphone. All right. All right, this question looks to be absolutely easy. Let me just erase all of these. The real problem with all of these questions is that sometimes they are so secretly written that sometimes you don't know what to do. But in all honesty, the exercises are absolutely simple. Look. Let's find the equation. In the form of straight lines. Okay, so we know these slopes are straights, right? And we need to draw them, right? So we have for point A, let me write, this is, what question is this? In the page 170, this is for what? For E? Guys, is this for E? Anybody? Can you guys hear me?
Profe, la que no
Yes.
entendí fue la 3A.
But of question for E, right? This one, right?
Yes.
Am I doing the right one or not?
Sí.
All right, so question 4E, exercise 3, question A. There we go. All right, it says, find the equation of all the possible lines that we have, right? The first one, we have an slope of 4, has an slope of gradient 4, and is passing through the point, negative 2,5. All right. There are a lot of ways to find the equation of lines given one slope and one point. A lot of ways. I prefer one, but I'm going to teach you two. The first way is to use the form of the equation point slope. The form of the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? Let me explain the equation. What is m? Well, m is the slope. So in this case, that is why this is called the slope point, because we have the slope. All we have to do is replace the slope. But also, what would be the y1 and the x1? Well, the x1 is the point, the coordinate of x of the first point, and y1 is the coordinate y of the first point. In this case, we only have 1 point, so this is x1 and this is y1. All we have to do is replace the values, and we found it. We found the equation. Let me replace the values. Y will be y1, which is 5. I'm sorry. Y equals y minus 5 equals the slope, which is 4, multiplied by x minus x1, which is negative 2. Take good care of the double negatives, all right? Pay attention to those. We have negative for the equation and negative 2 because of the variable, of the coordinate, all right? From here, just try to solve whatever multiplications or divisions or whatever we have. So we have y minus 5, and in this case, we have a distribution, right? Negative and negative will be positive, so I'm just going to write it here. And if we do the distributive property, this 4 will distribute to the x and also to the 2. So we have 4x plus, remember, we have negative and negative, that will be plus. 4 times 2, which is 8. From here, we can also pass and isolate the y. We can pass the negative 5 to add. So if I pass the 5 to add, what we have is 4x and then 8 plus 5, which is 13, right? Just like this, we have the equation of the line. Pretty simple. The equation of the line. Again, question 3 says, find the equation of the following slopes. Okay. Now, I told you I was going to give you two ways. Here is the second one. I like this one better. I think it is a lot more straightforward. Just remember the formula and replace the values, right? We have 1 point, we have the slope, replace for the corresponding ones. But there is another one. There is another one regarding the general form, the slope intercept form of the equation, y equals mx plus b, right? This b is the intersection point. So if I were to draw this, I would have something like this. I would have a point of negative 2,5. So something like this, negative 2,5 over there, right? Negative 2,5. This will be negative 2, and this will be 5, right? And a slope that is positive, 4. So I have to go up. My run will be 1. So kind of in the middle, right? And then my rise will be 4. So something like that. This will be the line, a positive line, right? And what we have to find is the y-intercept. That is the piece that we are missing. We know the slope is 4. All we have to do is find the y-intercept, which is, you can see it, right? But it would be, if I continue drawing the line, and if I have more board, then I would see what is the intersection with the y-axis, right? We know it is positive because of the drawing. We know it is positive. From here, we know it is 13. Okay? That is why I can draw it, because I don't have the space. I only have from 5, maybe to 10, but I don't have to 13, right? But how do you find that 13 without having to do this process? Simple. Replace all of the values. Look, in here you're going to replace the value of 4 because that is the slope, right? But we know the line passes through this point, negative 2,5. If it passes through that point, that means that this equation would have to be real. We have to be, if I replace the y with 5 and the slope with 4, the x by negative 2, this equation, no matter what the value is in b, I would have to find a value that makes this part of the equation a number 5. Because that is the idea, right? For every value of x, you're going to have a value of y. So for this equation, whenever x is negative 2, the value of y is 5. If you replace x in here for negative 2, the result will be positive 5. It will be that, right? That is the idea of a line. So I'm just going to take that and plus b. We don't know the value of b, so we are going to isolate it. In here, 5 equals 4 times negative 2. This is negative 8 plus b. Now, if we are looking to isolate the value of b, the y-intercept, just pass the negative 8 to add. So we'll have 5 plus 8, which is 13. I'm not even going to write that. 5 plus 8 is 13. So we know that b, the y-intercept, is 13. And all we have to do is write the equation. The equation then will be y equals the slope, 4x plus b, which is 13, plus 13. So here, 2 ways of knowing what is the equation of the line, all right? Again, I prefer this one. I think it's a little more clean. But if you like to do this one, it is up to you, all right? Let me see the chat and see if you guys have any more questions. Paul, profe, ¿qué pasa cuando tengo una línea horizontal? ¿Cuál es el slope? Papá, igual como te dijo Lili, the slope will be 0, right? Remember, if the line is horizontal, then there is no inclination. If there's no inclination, it's 0, all right? And that's it. I guess no more people asking. All right. Did you guys have any more questions? Paul. No. Who was this? Danny, was this you, Danny? Or Karen? Who was this?
Sí, profe. Gracias.
Okay. Did I solve your question?
Yes.
All right, cool. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'm here for you, all right? In the meantime, I am going to finish the video.